Boruto episode 63, the Otsutsuki invasion. Hopefully I got that right because I was kind of doing it off of memory, but either way, this episode was definitely cool. It was the Otsutsuki invasion, I know that was the title. Awesome episode, of course. It's all the stuff from the movie, plus a little extra, of course, the Gaara stuff, like anything with the third character, all that stuff was brand new. So Gaara, the other dude whose name I totally can't remember, the two of them fighting against him, I thought was cool. I wish we got to see more of that. I even would have liked it, even though they were kind of going through it where it was like, oh, we're kind of losing this battle, and then they kind of trick him at the end. Classic anime success. I would love to have seen more of that just because it wasn't in the movie. So I would have liked to have seen like just a legitimate, action sequence with those characters. But I was fine with the episode as a whole. I thought it was still entertaining. And they did have to kind of pad it out a little bit because of the way it ended. Naturally, it's like that's the end of that that grandiose battle. So I was like, all right, that's kind of why they're padding it out a little. That's why they do their talking, which actually does show up in the movie. Them talking about like, oh, you take these pills to get more power, and of course that relates to Boruto. And Naruto's like, oh, you're just using fake power and tools, and he says like tools and stuff like that. So it had that connection. It was just like the movie. Super cool. Boruto's just kind of doing his thing, being there and screwing up. I don't remember if that scene was as long in the movie, but man, he just kept shooting the things and they just kept doing it, and it made me laugh because he was just like, he just kept shooting it and then that sound effect would come up when they kept getting absorbed. So that made me laugh. Of course, Sasuke came in, he saved Sada. They used that same clip 2 times. It was the exact same clip twice. And he had like some magical moves. Like he jumped, he was in midair, and then he flipped again in midair. And I was like, yeah, that's just funny watching it. Sometimes like I don't pick up on that stuff, and then other times I was like, it's not like he jumped and did something else. He just did a jump, and then he did a second jump in midair. So it's like, yep, sometimes it just happens like that. It made me think of Bleach. I was like, they can do that in Bleach, and it makes sense. They technically don't. It doesn't make sense in the Naruto universe, but made me laugh. And definitely when they showed it twice, I was like, that's the exact same clip. It was just like, that's padding. That's what that was. That was definitely padding. But great episode, getting to see everybody. Got little bits and pieces here and there of people using their skills. Sakura using her stuff. Tamari. So that was cool. We got to see. For this is what, third time's the charm, I guess, technically, but we did technically get to see Mitsuki go into Sage mode, and then he got hit. Because I'm like, oh crap, they're doing like a huge change, because of course none of that was in the movie with him using Sage mode. Like even that scene where he was kind of going to use it, of course it involves the third villain, so none of that stuff was actually in there. So I was like, okay, that's really interesting. Like, where are we going here? Like, is it just gonna not work, and then they go back into the movie stuff, which they easily could have done. Like, it could have just been even the Sage mode wasn't powerful enough, but even the guy says like, we don't have this power. That's really interesting. Like, our techniques can't do stuff like this. So thought that was super cool. And of course he's Mitsuki was like right on the cusp, and then he just got hit, and I was really surprised. Like, the way they do it is so dramatic, because I'm like, he's putting this thing like through people's chests, and they just it's like clearly they're in pain, but it doesn't actually hurt them. It like takes their chakra out. So that was interesting, and he just hit him, and I was legitimately shocked, like, oh crap, like, mostly because every time he hits him, it's like he hits him right in the heart, but they never actually die. But I thought that was really cool, and then of course that's when he leaves off to go fight Gaara and the other dude. But that was cool, and then of course Naruto in this episode is super awesome, and he's going out with the Sage Cloak, and he's protecting everybody, and it just looked freaking sweet. Like, that's how you know something's just super cool. Like, it had been years since I've seen this stuff in the movie, and just watching it again, I was like, man, this is super sweet. He's like full cloak mode. Then Sasuke comes in, he's like, use my power, because if they get you, then that's pretty much it. So he puts, he basically covers Kurama, well, the cloak of Kurama at least, in the armor, and I thought that looked super cool. And then of course they're going through and they're just taking all these beatings, and then eventually it's starting to chip away, and like the little piece hits Boruto's shoulder and cuts his jacket. And so they do basically a Biju bomb, and about to drop it on the stadium, and then Naruto's just like, take care of the kids, and he goes like super full Naruto P mode, and Kurama comes out, is like, let's do this, show him what we got. And they basically just grab a Biju bomb, and they're about to shoot another one, but it's like, well, if I do that, then it'll kill everybody but me, basically except for the 4 people standing right here. But it was such a cool moment. Like, even though like I said, I'd seen all of that in the movie, it just looks sweet to actually watch it. Of course, they kick the animation up like just a little bit in certain scenes. They kind of have to for some of the devastation, especially like when they first do it and the lightning starts shooting and it's destroying the stadium and it's like big particle effects. So I was like, they have to kick it up at least for those couple of seconds. But it just looked good, and it's always sweet every time. Even when it was in like the Ninja War, I was like, man, we've had a million years with Naruto. Seeing him in that cloak for a season straight still wasn't really that boring. I mean, it was just like, sweet, this works for me. So seeing it again was definitely awesome. And of course, it's the older version of him where it's like it's slightly different from the last one that he had. Like every version's got like some slight variation, so I can't freaking remember the difference if I'm being totally honest. I think it's the fact that he has the jacket on him, but it's almost exactly the same. And then of course it's like the final version that he had in Shippuden, plus he has the jacket on, so it's still like slightly different. So you know how it goes. It's he's got like 100 versions of that freaking thing at this point, but it looks super cool. Kurama was awesome. Final team up at the end. Boruto realizing like, man, my dad is actually super sweet, and I'm just a piece of trash. So it's like, there it is. It's the stuff from the movie. It gets to the end, and he's like, man, is this dad's chakra? Like, he's so powerful. He's thinking of all these emotional moments. And then it's like, he turns to him and he smiles like sideways, and he's like, he freaks out. He's like, Dad, and then everything like goes white. The animation there looked great too. And then of course it was just like, that's the end of the episode. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next one. Well, I shouldn't say I'm definitely looking forward to it because I know exactly what part is gonna be. So it's like the slow part after the super epic stuff happens. So we'll see how they pace it as far as that, especially with the new characters. They already, even in the promo, it's like, oh, there's Gaara and stuff, new content right there. So we'll see how much they padded out, because it was, if I remember right, in the movie there wasn't that much time. I feel like it was almost, it was the movie, so it was like maybe 15 minutes. And it was just like, all right, here's 15 minutes dialogue and the emotion, like, my dad's gone, what's gonna happen, what are we gonna do? And Boruto realizing that his dad is like insanely super epic and all this other stuff. So we're gonna get all that in the next episode. So it'll probably be just that, legitimately, like them talking, and that's pretty much it, unless they decide to kind of fast track the process and then get to like a little bit of the action, which they technically could do, considering they have the third villain, and they could just be like, hey, he attacks on his own or whatever, because he's like the third level of those three characters. He's like the lowest on the totem pole, so maybe they send him out to attack just to keep everybody distracted. They could totally throw that in, and it would make perfect sense. And then they eventually kill him, or however that's going to play out, and then they go to the normal movie stuff. But looking forward to where we're headed. I do think I think the next two episodes, probably, with padding and everything, because like I said, they could do it in one, even with padding. I think that would be a good way to do it. Kind of like they did this, where it was action, they had to pad it out to end on that epic cliffhanger. But they could do it with the padding and then go to where I know they're about to go next, as far as the combat and extra new stuff there. So they could do that with a little bit of padding and then go into more new content as far as action wise with the third villain. But either way, we got our first like super huge moment, and then I just can't wait till we just get right to the end, because the ending of the Boruto movie, the action sequence in that, is legitimately one of the best in like all of Naruto history. Like, no joke, it is one of the best things they've ever done. And I would highly recommend, once we get there, you just go back and watch the movie. I think I said that before, but seriously, just watch it all with 100% crisp animation, and just both those sequences, especially the end. It's so utterly ridiculous. It almost doesn't even make sense. Like, it's just that insane. It's really good though. But definitely enjoyed this one, because it was pretty much what I wanted. I was like, oh, epic action episode. Admittedly, not that much action. It was kind of just cool at the very end. It was like, oh man, there's the cloak, because it's the sweetest thing ever. And then it's just like, here's Naruto being super sweet. Here's Naruto blocking a bunch of stuff because he's super sweet. Here's Naruto and Sasuke teaming up, and every time they do that, it looks super cool. Whenever their powers combine, it's like, color-wise and design-wise, it just looks sweet. So it's like Kurama with a basically like a plated samurai helmet on. It's like, that's cool to me. That's like the best. So definitely enjoyed it. Just all the visuals just look great. Naruto in his sage mode and everything. His sage plus cloak. Always great to see it. So simple episode. Knew exactly what it was gonna be, but it still was just that cool. Even though he didn't really even fight, it was just that cool, because that's how cool that looks sometimes. Where it's just like, man, that's sweet to see. So I enjoyed the episode, even though it was really nothing. He stood there in the cloak, and it was just that cool. So that shows you the power of Naruto. Sometimes it's like, it can just be sweet. And we're back to Boruto next week, so we'll see how that goes. But we are getting closer and closer, and depending on how they do decide to pad it out, we should... honestly, I want to say like a month max, but it's probably going to be somehow. I feel like they're going to find a way to make it 2 months before we get to that end fight scene. Like it took a year to get to this, which blew my mind. But I feel like we might still be 2 months away. Still might take 8 more episodes somehow before we get to the end of 2.5. I don't think it was even 2.5 hour. I think like an hour and 45 minute movie. So that's my guess. Got to do that padding. Got to keep it going, but. Definitely a fun episode, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, at least favorite parts about it. Going forward, of course, I would love to know what you guys want to see, whether you've seen the movie or not. Want to know your theories, predictions, hopes in general, especially with this third villain. As always, I want to know what theories you guys have on that, what you want to see from that. I feel like the next episode, with this being like the epic cliffhanger and all that, it will legitimately, for the most part at least, stick to the dramatic stuff and everything they add. I don't think there'll be like any cool action moments. So I'm gonna take a minute before the third villain comes in and kind of does his own thing again. But we'd love to know your predictions on it, and like I said, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.